This is all about the patients, really. At the end of the day, it's about doing our best to reassure patients that when JACIE accreditation is awarded to a centre, that their outcomes are going to be guaranteed as much as anywhere else.
One of the key roles that EBMT plays is as part of the Accreditation Committee known as JACIE, which ensures a consistent level of quality across all accredited HSCT and cell therapy services. But with a diverse range of hospitals, not only in Europe but around the world, this is becoming increasingly difficult. Well, to debate this issue, I'm joined by a number of top experts. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. John, I wonder if we can start with you. What are the main difficulties, would you say, in providing benchmarking for HSCT and cell therapy services?
Well, this is one of the most significant developments in EBMT, that we look at the outcomes of each centre and provide a benchmark for those centres so that they can compare themselves with that external standard. However, it's complicated because we all treat very different types of patients. We need to adjust for those case mixes variables, and we need to make it fair so it's accepted, because if it's not fair, it won't be accepted. Another reason why it's challenging as well is because although the EBMT registry is very well established, it's not always complete in every respect. There's a lot of missing data, and it's very dependent on those centres providing a complete data set.
Hein, let me bring you in there because John mentioned data. So at a statistical level, what are the challenges?
Well, as John already mentioned, the missing data is one of the difficulties. We're dealing with that with a method called multiple imputation, but also the case mix. So we have to adjust for different centers having perhaps more difficult patients to treat. So we have a case mix correction model, and we put a lot of effort in finding the right way to do this.
Riccardo, John briefly touched on it, that hospitals and health systems across the global EBMT community vary a lot. How do they vary?
They vary in many terms. In some countries, the health payers are mostly on a private system. In other countries, it's completely provided by the Health National Service. But the basic concept is the same, to ensure that the level of activity and efficiency of each center is standardized and provide at least at the minimum level of assistance to the patients. So,
John, how is JACIE and EBMT hoping to improve the fairness of the system?
Well, it's been down to having a very broad panel of clinical experts working with a panel of statistical experts in order to identify the most important variables in the case mix that enable us to provide some adjustment, or what we call risk adaptation, to produce a fair result, so that we can compare one centre with the national norm or one centre with the EBMT norm.
Hein, let me ask you, how are statistical models being used to build this system?
Well, the case mix correction model is the most important one. We want to not discourage centres to take on high-risk patients, so we really have to adequately adjust for patient mix. And this has been really a joint effort between clinicians and statisticians to derive those variables from that.
Riccardo, let me bring you back in again. How do disease groups and patient ages factor into all of this?
in the last 40 years, we had a progressive increase in the median age of transplant. At the end of the 80s, the maximum age for doing a transplant was about 40 years. Now we are going to transplant patients between 70 and 8 years. But I would say it's just one of the variables. This is why it is so important that a large set of variables are included in this analysis.
What would you all say is your vision for the future?
We transplant patients for very frequent disease, such as leukemias, but also we report to the registry less frequent disease, so they can provide an important tool to find new treatments and new ways to to approach these patients.
John, very quickly, your vision for the future with this?
Well, this is all about the patients, really, at the end of the day. It's about doing our best to reassure patients that when JACIE accreditation is awarded to a centre, these aspects of benchmarking against the external standards have been properly looked at, and that their outcomes are going to be guaranteed as much as anywhere else.
Great. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you.
Pleasure.
EBMT TV is brought to you from the 45th annual meeting of the EBMT in Frankfurt, Germany. For more like this, then you can click on some of these great videos. And don't forget to subscribe for more of the best in medicine, from cell therapy to gynecology, from genetics to psychology.